I sit in our dimly lit living room, the clock ticking in maddening repetition, each second marking the passage of time. My wife, Lisa, hasn't come home. Again. My mind races with a storm of possibilities, none of them comforting. It's not the first time she's disappeared for the night without a word. But this time, something feels off. Something feels wrong. My eyes drift to the family photo on the mantel. We look happy, perfect, even. But behind those smiles lie secrets I never imagined I'd have to uncover. My hands tremble as I pick up my phone. No messages. No missed calls. My heart pounds in my chest like a war drum, and I decide I can't take this anymore. I grab my car keys and head to the police station. The drive is a blur, streets passing by without recognition, my mind consumed by thoughts of Lisa. What if she's in trouble? What if she's hurt? The officer at the front desk gives me a skeptical look as I approach, trying to mask my anxiety. Good evening, sir. How can I help you? The officer asks, his tone perfunctory. My wife, she hasn't come home, I stammer. It's been more than a day. I'm really worried. He raises an eyebrow, glancing at the clock behind him. How long has she been missing? About 24 hours now, I reply, swallowing hard. It's not like her. She usually calls, even if she's staying with friends. He nods, scribbling something on a form. Any fights? Any reason she might have left on her own? I hesitate, considering my words carefully. We've had some issues. But nothing serious enough for her to just disappear like this. The officer gives me a knowing look. We'll file a report. But you should also check with her friends, family. Maybe she's just somewhere safe. I nod, thanking him, though his words bring little comfort. As I leave, the weight of helplessness settles over me. This isn't like her. Not entirely. I think of her recent behavior, whispered phone calls, secretive texts, nights out with vague explanations. A gnawing doubt claws at my insides, the spectre of betrayal looming large. The next week drags on like an endless nightmare. I scour every place I can think of, reaching out to everyone we know, but there's no sign of Lisa. My desperation grows with each passing day. I barely sleep, each hour blending into the next. Then, just when I start to lose hope, the phone rings. The voice on the other end is grave, official. It's Detective Mason from the police station. Mr. Harper, we have some news regarding your wife. Can you come down to the station? My heart skips a beat. Did you find her? Is she okay? There's a pause, heavy with implication. It's best if we talk in person. I hang up, my hands shaking as I make my way back to the station. The world feels surreal, like I'm walking through a fog. Detective Mason meets me with a somber expression. I'm afraid we have bad news, he says, leading me to a small, sterile room. He gestures for me to sit down, and I comply, my mind racing. We found your wife's body, he continues, his voice gentle yet firm. I'm sorry for your loss. The words hit me like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. I gasp, struggling to comprehend. Dead? How? Where? Her body was discovered in a remote area just outside of town. We're treating it as a homicide, Mason explains, his eyes fixed on mine. It seems she was on her way to meet someone. Someone. The word echoes in my mind, a bitter reminder of my darkest suspicions. My throat tightens. Who? He hesitates before speaking, choosing his words with care. We believe she was meeting someone she knew, a lover, possibly. My stomach churns, and a cold, hard knot forms in my gut. The room spins, memories flashing before me like a montage of deceit. The late nights, the distant gaze, the lies wrapped in casual conversation. And now, the final, damning revelation, my wife had been unfaithful. There's more, Mason adds, his voice dropping to a whisper. The medical examiner found out that she was pregnant. Pregnant. The word pierces through me, a cruel twist of fate. Was it mine? Or the lover's? The possibility gnaws at my heart, a relentless torment. A tear slips down my cheek, betraying my stoic facade. I'm sorry, Mr. Harper. We're doing everything we can to find out who did this, Mason assures, though his words barely register. I nod mechanically, the enormity of the situation crashing down around me. My wife, my unborn child, gone. Murdered by a man she trusted, a man I likely knew. Anger flares within me, a fiery resolve taking root. I will find him. I will make him pay for what he's done. The days blur into one another as I become consumed by the need for answers. Every spare moment is spent digging into Lisa's life, piecing together the puzzle she left behind. Her phone records, her emails, every interaction scrutinized with painstaking detail. It's a task both heartbreaking and infuriating, revealing a side of Lisa I never knew. Amidst the chaos, a name surfaces, David. My best friend. The betrayal cuts deeper than any wound, leaving me raw and exposed. How could he? How could they? I confront him, the fury in my heart boiling over. We meet at a secluded spot, a place where we once shared laughter and secrets. Now, it's tainted by the bitter truth. David stands there, feigning innocence, but his eyes betray him. I trusted you. I shout, my voice cracking with emotion. How could you do this to me? He stares at me, guilt etched across his face. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Didn't mean? I scoff, advancing toward him. You killed her, David. You killed them both. His eyes widen, panic setting in. It was an accident. I swear I didn't mean to. His words fuel my rage, the anger consuming every rational thought. I launch myself at him, fists flying, each punch a cathartic release. He tries to fight back, but my fury is unrelenting, driven by grief and betrayal. In the end, it's over too soon. David lies on the ground, battered and defeated. I stand over him, breathless and spent, the weight of my actions crashing down on me. Revenge tasted hollow, a bitter reminder that nothing can bring Lisa back. As the sirens wail in the distance, I know there's no turning back. I'll face the consequences, whatever they may be. But for now, all I feel is an empty void where love once resided. I lost everything to secrets and lies, and now I must learn to live with the truth. The sound of sirens fades as I slump against a tree, my chest heaving with exhaustion and raw emotion. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the park where David and I once spent carefree afternoons. Now it's a crime scene, a dark chapter in the book of my life that I never wanted to write. My hands are bruised, knuckles split, yet the pain doesn't register. All I can feel is the icy numbness spreading through my veins. I've crossed a line, one I can't uncross, and the realization weighs heavy on my shoulders. A familiar voice cuts through the haze, pulling me back to reality. It's Officer Ryan, a seasoned cop who knows me from the countless times I've filed missing person reports, each one more desperate than the last. Matthew, he calls out, approaching cautiously, his gaze flicking to David's prone figure. What happened here? I stare at him, words tangled in my throat. How do I explain the betrayal, the rage, the heartbreak that led to this moment? He killed Lisa, I managed to say, my voice a hoarse whisper. He was her lover. Officer Ryan's expression shifts, sympathy mixing with professional detachment. He kneels beside David, checking for a pulse. I can't bring myself to look. You need to come with us, Matthew, he says gently, standing and nodding to his partner, a young officer whose name escapes me. We need to sort this out at the station. I nod numbly, following him to the squad car. The ride is silent, the city passing by in a blur of lights and shadows. Memories of Lisa flood my mind, each one sharper than the last. Her laughter, her smile, the way she used to brush her hair back when she was deep in thought. It's all gone, swept away by deceit and death. At the station, Detective Mason waits for me, his expression unreadable. "Matthew, we need to talk about what happened," he says, gesturing for me to sit. I comply, my body sinking into the chair as if it's the only thing holding me up. "I didn't mean to, it just happened." He nods, understanding and frustration mingling in his gaze. "Start from the beginning. Tell me everything." I take a deep breath, recounting the events of the past week. The investigation, the lies, the moment I found out about David. The anger that had driven me to confront him, and the fight that had ensued. "Matthew," Mason interjects, his voice steady. "We found evidence that David was in contact with another suspect, someone who might have orchestrated this whole thing." I blink, the words not quite registering. "Another suspect? What do you mean?" He leans forward, placing a folder on the table. Inside are photos, phone records, and messages that paint a chilling picture. David wasn't just Lisa's lover, he was entangled in something far darker, something I never imagined could touch my life. "We believe David was part of a larger scheme," Mason explains, his tone grave. "He was working with someone to cover up Lisa's murder, to make it look like a crime of passion." The room spins, my mind struggling to keep up. Who? Who would do this?" "We're still piecing it together," he admits, flipping through the folder. "But we have a name. Claudia Ross." Claudia. The name echoes in my mind, familiar yet foreign. She's a prominent figure in our town, known for her philanthropy and business acumen. But beneath that polished exterior lies a web of corruption, one that now threatens to ensnare me. "What does she have to do with Lisa?" I ask, disbelief coloring my voice. "Claudia and David were involved in illegal dealings," Mason reveals, his eyes meeting mine. "We think Lisa found out, and they silenced her to keep it hidden." The revelation is staggering, a tidal wave of betrayal crashing over me. Lisa was never the villain in this story, she was a victim, caught in a web of deceit spun by those she trusted. I clench my fists, the weight of guilt and regret pressing down on me. If only I had known. If only I had been able to see past my own insecurities, maybe I could have saved her. But now it's too late, and all I can do is uncover the truth. "How do we bring Claudia to justice?" I ask, my voice resolute. Mason leans back, contemplating the next move. "We need evidence. Something that ties her directly to David and the murder." I nod, determination hardening my resolve. This isn't just about revenge anymore, it's about justice for Lisa, for the child that never had a chance. The investigation moves quickly, a whirlwind of phone calls, interviews, and late-night stakeouts. I become part of the team, driven by a singular purpose. Officer Ryan proves invaluable, his experience and intuition guiding us through the labyrinth of lies. One evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, we gather in the station's conference room. The atmosphere is tense, charged with anticipation. Detective Mason paces the floor, a map of connections and leads spread out before us. "We've traced Claudia's financial records," he announces, pointing to a series of transactions that connect her to David. These payments coincide with the timeline of Lisa's disappearance and murder. Officer Ryan nods, his expression grim. "And we've got witness statements placing her at the scene." The pieces fall into place, a chilling picture of premeditated betrayal. Claudia's facade crumbles, revealing the monster beneath. "We're ready to move," Mason declares, his gaze sweeping over the team. "But we need to be careful. Claudia's powerful, and she won't go down without a fight." I nod, the resolve in my heart burning like a beacon. For Lisa, for our child, I will see this through to the end. The operation is swift, a coordinated effort to bring Claudia to justice. We surround her mansion, a fortress of opulence hiding secrets within its walls. I watch from the shadows as the officers move in, their figures silhouetted against the backdrop of the setting sun. There's a tense standoff, voices raised in anger and defiance. Claudia emerges, her polished veneer cracked, revealing the desperation beneath. She denies everything, her voice shrill with indignation. But the evidence is overwhelming, a testament to her guilt. She's handcuffed, her protests drowned out by the weight of justice bearing down on her? As she's led away, I feel a sense of closure, a chapter in this twisted saga finally coming to an end. Yet, the journey is far from over. There are still questions unanswered, shadows lurking at the edges of my mind. Detective Mason approaches, a mixture of relief and caution in his eyes. "You did good, Matthew. This isn't over, but it's a step in the right direction." I nod, the weight of loss still heavy on my heart. "Thank you. For everything." He clasps my shoulder, a silent promise of support. "We'll get through this. Together." As I leave the station, the city unfolds before me, alive with possibilities and untold stories. Lisa's memory lingers, a guiding light in the darkness. I vow to keep her spirit alive, to fight for truth and justice, no matter where this journey leads. I walk out of the police station into the cool night air, my heart still pounding from the adrenaline of Claudia's arrest. The relief of seeing her taken away is short-lived, however, as the shadows of uncertainty still loom large. I know we've only scratched the surface of the truth. My thoughts drift back to Lisa, her laughter, her quiet strength, and a renewed determination surges within me. I owe it to her to see this through. As I drive home, the city lights blur past, and my mind races with possibilities. Claudia Ross was a major player, but it feels like there's more to the story. David's involvement, the hidden transactions, the chilling revelation of Lisa's pregnancy, everything points to a deeper conspiracy. Back at home, I find my living room as I left it, tidy, yet haunted by memories. Lisa's favorite throw blanket is draped over the couch, a silent testament to happier times. I sink into the sofa, exhaustion creeping in. But just as my eyes start to close, my phone buzzes, pulling me back to reality. It's a message from Detective Mason, "Need you at the station." Urgent. My heart skips a beat. Urgent. The word hangs heavy in the air, laden with implication. I grab my keys and head back to the station, the night growing darker around me. When I arrive, the station is a hive of activity. Officers move with purpose, their faces tense with focus. Detective Mason meets me at the entrance, his expression grave. "What's going on?" I ask, trying to steady my voice. He leads me into the briefing room, where a group of officers are gathered around a large table covered in documents, photos, and maps. Mason gestures to a seat, and I sit, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. "We've found something, Matthew," Mason begins, flipping through a folder. During the search of Claudia's property, we discovered encrypted files on her computer. My pulse quickens. "What kind of files?" "Files that suggest there's more at play here than just Lisa's murder," he replies, his eyes meeting mine. Claudia was involved in a network, a web of illegal activities far beyond what we initially thought. The room falls silent as he continues, outlining the connections they've uncovered. Claudia was linked to an underground operation, dealing in money laundering, fraud, and potentially more sinister dealings. Lisa had stumbled upon it, and it cost her everything. "What do we do now?" I ask, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Mason looks at me, a mixture of empathy and resolve in his gaze. "We need to track down everyone involved. And we need your help, Matthew. You know the players better than anyone." The room waits for my response, the weight of their expectation pressing down on me. It's a lot to process, but the thought of Lisa, of what she endured, fuels my resolve. "I'm in," I say, the words firm with conviction. "Tell me what I need to do." The following days blur into a flurry of action. I'm part of the task force, working alongside officers and detectives, poring over evidence and following leads. I never imagined myself in this position, but each step brings me closer to understanding the full scope of what Lisa faced. Detective Mason and I spend hours going over the files, trying to piece together the connections between Claudia and her associates. It's tedious work, but we make progress, identifying key players and mapping out their network. One night, while we're working late at the station, Mason leans back in his chair, a thoughtful expression on his face. "There's one name that keeps popping up," he says, pointing to a document on the table. "James Donovan. Who is he? I ask, leaning forward to examine the file. Donovan's a known fixer, Mason explains. He cleans up messes for people like Claudia. If he's involved, he's our link to uncovering the rest of the operation. A sense of urgency grips me. Donovan could be the key to unraveling the entire conspiracy, to finally bringing justice for Lisa. But we need to be careful. A man like Donovan won't go down easily. We need a plan, I say, my mind racing with possibilities. The plan is risky but necessary. We need to get close to Donovan to gather enough evidence to take him down. Officer Ryan volunteers to go undercover, using his connections to infiltrate Donovan's circle. The tension is palpable as we wait for Ryan to make contact. Every minute feels like an eternity, the stakes higher than ever. If Donovan suspects anything, it could jeopardize the entire operation and put Ryan in serious danger. Finally, after what feels like hours, Ryan returns with news. I got in, he says, a glint of determination in his eyes. Donovan's interested in a meeting. We need to act fast. The room buzzes with anticipation as we finalize the details. Ryan will go in, wired and monitored by the team, while Mason and I stay on standby, ready to move at a moment's notice. The night of the meeting arrives, and the air is thick with tension. We're stationed in an unmarked van, parked discreetly near the meeting location. The surveillance equipment hums quietly, broadcasting every word, every sound from Ryan's wire. Inside the van, Mason and I listen intently, our eyes glued to the screens. The stakes have never been higher, and the fate of the investigation hangs in the balance. Ryan approaches Donovan, his demeanor calm and collected. The audio crackles to life, and Donovan's voice comes through, smooth yet menacing. "What's this about?" Donovan asks, suspicion lacing his words. Ryan plays his part perfectly, engaging Donovan in conversation, steering the dialogue toward the information we need. Each moment feels like an eternity, the tension palpable as we wait for Donovan to slip, to reveal the details that will seal his fate. As the conversation unfolds, Donovan begins to talk, his arrogance getting the better of him. He boasts about his connections, the power he wields, and, crucially, the people he works for. The revelation sends a shiver down my spine. Donovan is just a piece of the puzzle, a pawn in a game controlled by someone even more dangerous. Mason nods to me, signaling that it's time to move. We rush out of the van, coordinating with the team to converge on the meeting location. The adrenaline surges through me as we approach, ready to bring Donovan to justice. But as we burst into the room, something goes wrong. Donovan is gone, having slipped away in the chaos. Ryan stands there, unharmed but shaken, frustration etched across his face. "He knew," Ryan mutters, clenching his fists. He must have known we were onto him. The disappointment is crushing, a setback in our pursuit of the truth. But as we regroup, Mason's determination burns brighter than ever. "We'll get him," Mason vows, his resolve unshaken. This isn't over. Back at the station, we reassess our strategy. Donovan's escape means he knows we're closing in, that the net is tightening around him and his associates. But it also means he'll make a mistake, one we can capitalize on. As we pore over the evidence once more, a new lead emerges. A name buried in the files, one that connects Donovan to an influential figure in the city's elite. A name that could blow the entire conspiracy wide open. "Matthew," Mason says, a fire in his eyes. "We've got our next target." I nod, the weight of the mission settling on my shoulders. We're closer than ever to the truth, and I won't stop until Lisa's memory is vindicated, until those responsible are brought to justice. The journey ahead is fraught with danger and uncertainty, but I know I'm not alone. With Mason, Ryan, and the team by my side, we'll unravel the threads of this conspiracy, piece by piece, until the full truth is revealed. As I leave the station, the city stretches out before me, alive with possibilities and challenges. The path to justice is long and winding, but I'm ready to face whatever lies ahead. The morning sun peeks over the horizon, casting a golden glow on the city below. I stand at my window, the warmth doing little to thaw the chill that settled in my bones. Today is the day we finally confront the mastermind behind Lisa's murder, the puppet master pulling the strings from the shadows. My phone buzzes with a text from Detective Mason, and I glance at it. Meet at the usual place. We're ready. I grab my coat, the weight of the gun concealed beneath it unfamiliar yet comforting. My heart pounds with anticipation and dread, knowing the end of this journey is near. Today, I'll face the truth I've been chasing, even if it shatters the fragile remnants of my world. At the police station, the atmosphere is electric with tension. Officers buzz around, preparing for the culmination of months of work. Detective Mason stands at the center of the storm, coordinating the operation with calm authority. He nods at me as I approach. "Morning, Matthew," he says, his voice steady. "We've tracked Donovan to a warehouse on the outskirts of town. Our informant confirms that the boss will be there." "The boss?" I ask, my mind racing with possibilities. Mason's expression darkens. "The one orchestrating the entire operation. The one who ordered Lisa's murder." The words hang in the air, heavy with implication. I feel a knot tighten in my stomach, the anticipation of finally putting a face to the shadowy figure haunting my thoughts. "Are you ready?" Mason asks, his gaze searching mine for any hesitation. I nod, the resolve hardening within me. More than ever. The drive to the warehouse is tense, the silence in the car punctuated by the crackle of the police radio. Officer Ryan sits beside me, his expression grim yet determined. He's been a rock throughout this ordeal, a constant reminder that I'm not alone in this fight. As we approach the warehouse, the team moves into position, surrounding the building with silent efficiency. The tension is palpable, a storm waiting to break. I grip my gun, the cold metal a reminder of what's at stake. Detective Mason gives the signal, and we move in. The warehouse looms before us, a monolith of steel and shadows. We breach the doors, the sound echoing through the cavernous space. Inside, the air is thick with anticipation. The team fans out, searching for any sign of Donovan and his mysterious employer. I stay close to Mason, my senses heightened, each step bringing us closer to the truth. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the silence, smooth and chilling. "Welcome, gentlemen. I've been expecting you." We spin around, weapons drawn, and come face to face with a figure emerging from the shadows. It's a man, tall and impeccably dressed, his eyes gleaming with cold intelligence. "You've done well to get this far," he says, his tone almost admiring. "But the game ends here." "Who are you?" Mason demands, his voice steady despite the tension. The man smiles, a predator sizing up its prey. "My name is Jonathan Hart. I'm the one you've been looking for." The name sends a shockwave through me, recognition dawning like a cold dawn. Hart is a powerful figure in the city, known for his legitimate business empire, but also whispered about in the underworld, a ghost with a lethal reputation. "You killed Lisa," I say, the words escaping before I can stop them. "You're behind everything." Hart's smile widens, a Cheshire grin. "Ah, the lovely Lisa. She was quite resourceful, but she stumbled into matters beyond her comprehension." Rage boils within me, the anger I've harbored finally finding its target. I take a step forward, but Mason holds me back, his grip firm. "Why?" Mason asks, his gaze locked on Hart. "Why murder her?" Hart chuckles, a sound devoid of warmth. "Lisa discovered something she shouldn't have. A small price to pay to keep the operation running smoothly." The words ignite a fire within me, the need for vengeance burning hotter than ever. But before I can act, Donovan emerges from behind a stack of crates, flanked by armed men. The odds shift, tension crackling in the air like static. Well, Donovan sneers, his voice dripping with contempt. "Look who decided to crash the party." Officer Ryan raises his weapon, but Hart holds up a hand, stopping his men. "Let's not make this more unpleasant than it has to be. I propose a deal." "A deal?" Mason echoes, skepticism lacing his words. "Yes," Hart says, his gaze flicking between us. "Walk away now, and I'll ensure you all live to see another day." refuse, and things might get messy. The room is silent, the air heavy with the weight of choice. I look at Mason, his jaw set with determination. We've come too far to back down now, too close to justice for Lisa. We're not leaving, I say, my voice firm. Hart's smile fades, replaced by a cold, calculating stare. Very well. You've made your choice. With a nod, he signals his men, and chaos erupts. The room explodes into violence, gunfire echoing off the walls. I dive for cover, adrenaline coursing through my veins as bullets whiz past. Officer Ryan and the team return fire, their movements precise and practiced. Mason is at my side, his expression grim as we advance through the chaos. The world narrows to the fight at hand, the need to survive, to bring Hart to justice. Amidst the gunfire, I spot Donovan, his expression one of panicked desperation. He retreats, slipping through a side door. Without hesitation, I follow, determined to confront the man who played a part in Lisa's demise. The chase leads us through a labyrinth of corridors, the echoes of battle fading behind us. Donovan moves with frantic energy, but I'm close on his heels, driven by the ghosts of the past. Finally, we burst into a dimly lit room, the air thick with dust and tension. Donovan whirls around, a gun in hand, his face twisted with fear and rage. It's over, Donovan! I shout, my weapon trained on him. He laughs, a bitter, hollow sound. You think you can just waltz in here and end this? You're in over your head, Harper. I know what you did, I say, my voice steady despite the fury coursing through me. You betrayed Lisa. You betrayed me. His eyes narrow, calculating his next move. It wasn't supposed to be like this. She was collateral damage, nothing more. The callousness of his words ignites a fire within me, the need for justice eclipsing all else. But as I take a step forward, the unexpected happens. The door behind me bursts open, and Detective Mason rushes in, flanking Donovan. Caught between us, Donovan's bravado falters, his gaze darting between our weapons. It's over, Donovan, Mason says, his tone brokering no argument. For a moment, the air is thick with tension, the room frozen in a standoff. Then, with a defeated sigh, Donovan lowers his gun, the fight leaving him. Mason moves swiftly, handcuffing Donovan as I watch, the adrenaline finally ebbing away. The weight of the moment settles over me, a mix of relief and sorrow. Matthew, Mason says, his voice a quiet anchor in the chaos. We did it. I nod, my gaze fixed on Donovan, the man who betrayed everything I held dear. But beneath the relief is a deeper, more unsettling truth, a truth that whispers through the silence, demanding to be heard. Back in the main room, the battle has ended, Hart and his men subdued by the task force. As officers secure the scene, Hart is led away, his expression unreadable. Justice is served, yet a hollow ache lingers within me, a reminder of all that's been lost. I turn to Mason, the questions that have haunted me finally finding voice. Why did it have to be like this? Mason sighs, his eyes filled with the weariness of experience. People like Hart think they're untouchable. They play with lives like pieces on a chessboard, and sometimes, good people get caught in the crossfire. I nod, accepting the harsh reality of his words. The path to justice is rarely straightforward, often fraught with sacrifice. Lisa paid the ultimate price, a truth that sears my heart with every beat. As the dust settles, I find a moment of quiet, the enormity of the journey washing over me. It's over, truly over. But the scars remain, a testament to the darkness we faced. Matthew, Mason says, his voice breaking through my reverie. You've been through a lot. Take some time, find some peace. Lisa would want that. I nod, knowing the road to healing will be long and winding. But I will honor Lisa's memory, her courage, by living the life she was denied. In the days that follow, I navigate the aftermath of the storm. The city slowly returns to normal, the shadows receding as justice is served. Donovan's trial is swift, his crimes laid bare for the world to see. And as he's sentenced, I feel a sense of closure, a chapter finally coming to an end. But the true revelation comes when I least expect it, a surprise that reshapes everything I thought I knew. It happens in the quiet of my home, as I sift through Lisa's belongings, seeking solace in the memories we shared. Tucked away in a drawer, I find a letter, a final message from Lisa, penned in her familiar script. My hands tremble as I open it, the words inside cutting through the fog of grief. Matthew. If you're reading this, it means I couldn't find a way out. I'm sorry for the secrets I kept, for the lies I had to tell to protect you. I know about the conspiracy, about Claudia and Donovan's plan. But there's something more, something I couldn't share until now. Our child, Matthew. It was yours. The truth is a balm to my wounded heart, a bittersweet revelation that brings tears to my eyes. All this time, I doubted, tormented by the thought of betrayal. But Lisa's love, her loyalty, was unwavering, a light in the darkness that guides me still. The letter continues, a final plea that echoes through my soul. Promise me you'll live, that you'll find happiness again. I love you, always. The words are a lifeline, a reminder of the strength and courage that defined Lisa. I clutch the letter to my chest, a vow forming within me. I will honor her wish, live as she wanted, and find peace in the knowledge of her love. The days turn to weeks, the healing process slow but steady. I find solace in the simple moments, the beauty of a sunrise, the warmth of a friend's smile. Mason and Ryan remain by my side, their friendship a steadfast anchor. Together, we navigate the aftermath of the storm, knowing the path to justice is never truly finished. But for now, there is peace, a quiet calm that envelops the city and all its stories. As I walk through the city streets, I carry Lisa's memory with me, a beacon of light in the shadows. And though the journey was fraught with betrayal and loss, I find comfort in the knowledge that her spirit lives on, a guiding force in the tapestry of my life.